Welcome back, hockey fans. Jets Fantasy Field Podcast, Episode 3, coming in hot. We're going to be talking about our top 10 prospects this episode. More so on a NHL ready, who we might see this year, what their expectations are, and our other hot comers there. Before we get into anything, news, Paul Fenton got fired from the Minnesota Wild. GM there for only 14 months there.
Yeah, so we were discussing how that went public very quickly. They replaced him with no hesitation. Well, sorry, they haven't replaced him yet, but they definitely. Yeah, the Manitoba product there, yes. Yeah. So that would be something big. He does have the Philadelphia Flyers experience there, so I know that they've had a tough couple years themselves. Obviously, that they might want to turn things around, maybe be in the same boat as the Minnesota Wild, looking for a fresh start. Maybe Ron Hextall is the way to go for that. Paul Fenton clearly didn't.
And it was surprising coming from what he accomplished in Nashville with Pohl. It was surprising that he landed there. Like, he had a few options to GM, and he decided to go to Minnesota, so they're happy to have him. So I was actually quite surprised with all the moves he made. I watched Boston a bit, so the Donato trade was it was whatever. Coyle is probably a better fit for Boston. That Donato trade, we don't know what's going to happen. That still might turn out for him. But the whole trading for Rask and giving up Niederreiter, who was a top 10 pick in the draft, he's been on my fantasy for a while, so it was quite surprising to see him. That was, I think, the first draw was his draft year was last year. The two people they drafted, I think they're 24th or 25th overall pick, and he went for somebody that was supposed to go late 40s, so he blew the gasket on that. That was the first straw. He made that bad trade with the Rask thing. And to top it all off, he's talking about getting early, so he made the trade, traded Granlund for Fiala there. But to get younger, you can't be signing Zuccarello, who's 30, at a 5-year deal. I think that was the last straw where I know Parise put up a little something in the paper about how unimpressed he was with Fenton and everything he's done there since he got there. So I think after Parise put that up, it was like, yeah, big check mark that, to give him 14 months isn't really fair to see what a GM can do, but for us Jets fans, it would have been nice to see how much he could have torn that
organization apart. Yeah.
It's too bad that he's not there still for us, but it's a good thing, one less team to worry about in the Central. I can't see them being good for a while now. That core is broken right apart, so some good news for us. But yeah, let's jump right into the top 10
prospects. Very interested to see where Fenton will end up, though. Yeah. Nonetheless.
Yeah. I don't know if you would take him this day and age with, I think he's more of an old school. He built Nashville up on that old school nature of like a Shea Weber, the stay-at-home, hard-hitting defense. It's more of a puck-moving kind of era, and we're going to get right into the prospects.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, let's compare your list to my list, because you were pretty set on the NHL already, and I like that.
Yes, I really was.
There.
Thank you for that. Yeah. My number one, if you want to get right into it, starting at number 1, I have Tucker Poolman. I've been a big fan of him for years now. He's been in the system since he got drafted in 2013. Just this past season, he spent 43 games playing with the Manitoba Moose, getting 5 goals and 20 assists for a total of 25 points. Now, I think he could have been called up a lot more. I wish that he was more of their consistent call-up instead of shuffling a lot of the players around, calling up Appleton, calling up Nogier, and things like that for the Jets.
Yeah, he could have been way more consistent in that kind of role, right-handed shooting,
Yes.
He's got the size, he's got everything going for him. I think he just needs a little more ice time to see what he can actually do. He's never really got the chance full on, but every time he's come up, I've been happy with what I've seen. Like, I'm surprised they haven't taken more of a role with him, but just means we got a tight lineup if Pullman can't get in, I guess.
That's the other thing too, right? It obviously shows that this is going to be a tough roster to crack heading into training camp, right? That's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to crack this roster, because they have a lot of guys coming up. I mean, if you stay tuned for this entire show right now, like this entire in-depth analysis of the guys that are coming up through the system right now, of all the rookies, it's going to be a tough year for anybody.
It's exciting to get fighting for this ice time. There's going to be positions to be filled. People need to be stepping up, and I think if Poolman gets enough chance and maybe gets into a rhythm with the coaches as well, we're going to see more of him. So I do like that pick there. I did have him a little later.
A little lower than you, yeah. A little lower than number one, yeah.
Yeah, I did have him around 8 or around 5. Sorry for mine there about NHL ready and that the ceiling I think he brings to the table this year, and it's more so not a position thing. I just think it's like the ceiling with some of the rookies I had ahead of him have a little more chance to show what they can have depending on lineup situation. I think there's a couple more guys, but we'll get into that. Let's stick to your list there.
Yeah, so that was my number 2. I had Logan Stanley, another defensive player as well. The 21-year-old, he's a defensive player. Defenseman. He has the left-handed shot. Another thing that I've noticed as well is the Jets are really, really going after right now. Let it be in any position. I've noticed that a lot of these 10 guys that I picked here are majority of them were left-handed shots. So that's something that stuck out to me. Logan Stanley, we've talked about him in previous shows before, that I've been a big fan of him since his days in Kitchener. He had a really good career there. He won the Memorial Cup, and that's a huge thing for a player's junior career, to take that momentum into the NHL. I know obviously it's two different opposite ends of the spectrum here, a junior championship compared to a Lord Stanley. But nonetheless, he had success in the junior game, playing 73 games, 6 goals, 16 assists, got himself 22 points. He was a number 18 round 1 pick in 2016. So I have him at my number 2. He's like another person that his ceiling, when you talk about ceiling, that's something that I don't see a limit there for him. And one thing there, Blair, before I just got to get this out, his weight and height is like the ideal for any sort of athlete. Like he almost has like a LeBron James type of height at 6'7", with LeBron being 6'8". So imagine that on skates and being 231. I mean, if the Jets just keep working this kid out, I'm sure that maybe not this year, but maybe next season he'll probably get closer to 245 pounds, and that's some serious muscle to be putting on. But I don't think that's going to I don't think the lack of muscle right now or lack of any weight strength is going to be detriment to his success heading into the season. So that's why I have him there at my number 2.
Yeah, that's a perfect analysis of that. I have him pretty high in my list too. The only, I guess, concern is maybe some of the injury concern we've had. It happens with all the big players, the Chara, the Hedmans. Like eventually, once they start getting going, they get going. And I believe what Ottawa gave Chara away for nothing at the time, and he just became this total beast. So I think players like that, we all knew when we drafted him, it was going to take a longer development time. But the only way to develop quicker, I think, is over time. It's not necessarily getting the ice time. I feel like last year, when he was in his juniors with Kitchener, putting up good numbers, had a really good slap shot. He was more in an offensive role. And last year, went more of it to a shutdown defensive role. He was rocking guys out there. He's just a huge tank. Somebody you don't want to play against. Even if you don't mean to block the shot, he does. He's 6'7", 230. He's the real deal. I think for as far as ceiling goes, he might be our highest prospect. You don't find those players every day. You can't just trade for something like that. There's no way that you could just find or stumble upon something like that at that age as well. So I think his ceiling is maybe the highest out of all of them for what we look for in a shutdown, hard to play against team player. But yeah, I have him for 6 overall, just high there. But I have a few more players I think are more ready this year. But yeah, you're right about his ceiling. I think it might be if not the highest out of all of them. So you're onto something there for sure. Who do we got next up at 3 there?
For my number 3, I went with David Gustafsson, the left-handed center, 19 years old, coming out of the second round, number 60 overall. So, his past season, he's got 36 games, 2 goals, 10 assists. So I know that he probably doesn't have the greatest stat line, but his youth, I think, is going to play a huge role into him being on this team. So
yeah, and he's playing across seas there. He's playing for the Sweden League. He didn't put up that amazing points, but he's playing against men again, right? So
yeah,
12 goals or 12 points in 36 games or whatever. It's not the worst. It's not the best, but playing against men, I think he's going to mature quicker. It's just the problem I have about the 36, the 40 game seasons. When you come over and you play an 82 game season with practices, a lot of these players they can't adjust quick enough for how long and mentally even exhausting the season is. So I think he has, I have him at 9 on my list just because I think he has more time to develop. Yeah, very high ceiling, hardworking, two-way player. He can be used in any situation. He's good on draws. He's good at pedaling kills. You want a good centerman that can go everywhere.
Yeah.
He just needs to get a little faster. And I think even if he hits the Jets' speed, I think halfway through he might kerplunk a bit by just not being used to the full season. So I have him in mind just because next year I'm hoping we can develop him here closer to home, get him in our facilities and get him used to living in the city and being around the people. And I think after next year when he's in the Moose, he's gonna kill it. So I got at least 10 games next year for him. I just I have him at 9 because I don't see him playing this year for the Jets. So
okay.
I have him just at the 9, just not the ceiling thing, just the readiness
and the experience.
So next year you might get 10 games, but again, I think it'd be beneficial for him to play for the Moose next year.
For the Moose. Well, that's good. I'm glad that we have him on way 2, right? That's so drastic, right? Like you have him at 9, I have him at 3, so that's good though, right? Like, I mean, it shows the different ways we look at things here for them.
Watch out for
Gustafson. No kidding.
We're gonna take a quick break here. Segment 1, Jets Fantasy Fuel shout out. We'll be right back for segment 2. Welcome back to segment 2, Jets Fantasy Fuel. Blair in the air. We got Keith McKnight here. Keith, take her away with number 4.
Number 4. Okay, I have Christian Vesalainen, the left-handed left wing from Helsinki, Finland. Pretty solid height, 6'3", 207 on the scale. He's only 20, so that shows another promise with his youth. He came in the first round, number 24 in 2017. Last year, he spent 5 games with the Jets, only getting an assist. So that was, a little bit hard on his confidence, right? Only getting up 5 games here.
He didn't get much ice time.
No, exactly. And it was very public too, right? Yeah. You heard about it in the press, in the media, for sure.
Yeah, we didn't get to see a whole lot of looks from him, but, that's...
No, and that's another thing that's huge to his success. You keep talking about ice time, right? The lack of it, and that's very, very important into each player's development. But he did see quite a bit of time with the Moose, playing 22 games and getting 13 points with 9 assists and 4 goals. But most of his games with success came with Jokerit over in Finland, playing 31 games for 17 points. So finding the net 6 times there and getting 11 assists. So he's well balanced in a couple leagues under him. So if he's getting experience in Jokerit and he's getting experience with the Moose, I think that maybe this might be his year for where he can find some consistency in the Winnipeg Jets roster.
And I think it's just adapting to the cross seas. It's bigger ice over there. It's a smaller ice over here. So I think maybe he went back to Sweden to maybe get a little more ice time, a little more skating on the go, and maybe those are things that we thought he had to work on. So a little more opportunity over there, and again, playing with men. So I think it was a good opportunity for him to go over there. But as far as a player, the only thing I've seen in his game is he just needs to get a little faster. He's a big, strong skater. He has nice crossovers, nice cuts, really good stick handler. So I think that's going to come in time. It's just getting a little faster on his. He's good maintaining speed. Just the first quick couple jumps, I think we need to work on, and the full top speed we need to work on with the puck. So I think once that happens, we're good. We got the crossovers and everything. So good player. I did have him at number 2 on my list just because I did expect him to play beside Lowry on the 4th line to start the year.
Okay. It's a little bit higher, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not downing Lowry. It could be little on the 4th line. I just wanted someone to protect him out there. So I think he'd do good with Lowry out there. 2 big bodies, go in the corner as well. They'd be tough to play against. I think if Lowry took him under his wing this year, it'd be good for the whole organization, for sure. Yeah.
All right, so I had him at 4. You had him at 2. So
you're saying 6'3", you might be 6'4".
6'4", so a little bit higher, a little bit heavier. Okay.
Depends on the day there.
The day, yeah, exactly right. Yeah, that's true.
But who'd you have at 5?
Number 5, I went with Sami Niku, another defenseman. And I was telling you this as well off air that the Jets do go with a lot of lefties. So I don't know if that's a trend that they're going with right now.
Man, you were saying that before. I think it's just basically like our whole power play. We got everyone's right-handed. Shifley, Wheeler, Liney, Bufflin. It used to be Myers too. Everyone.
So they need those. They need that balance. Okay.
Yeah. When they drafted these players, we were super right heavy, and now some of these players are gone or whatever. Bufflin, yeah, everyone's just right-handed. So I don't disagree with the whole lefties coming up. I think we're left short, so I think it'll be good, especially with the Perreault injury and contract concern too. So
that's very interesting that you actually bring up that topic. I know that he may not be somebody who may be looked at to replace him. Sorry, Matthew Perot's contract, but put aside the fact Sami Niku was a 7th round pick at number 198 in 2015. He showed a lot of promise, and one thing I noticed last year as well, I think Paul Maurice likes him like a lot. And I think Paul Maurice sees a lot of promise for him. I have him at my number 5 here. He played 30 games last year for the Jets. They only got 4 points. And then in the Moose, he played 20 games and getting 12 points. So clearly that his confidence in the AHL is there. I think when you talk about, the skating, the crossovers, getting out on that first jump, I think he's another player that he could see himself playing probably the same amount of games. If he's played 50 games, yeah, I'm gonna say that if he's gonna, let's say he plays 30 games, I think he'll play 30-30, or you know what I mean, like he'll just play an even amount of games in the A or just a little bit more in the NHL. Because I think when I say that,
and where do you have him on your list?
I have him at number 5.
Okay, so I'm gonna turn the table a bit on this.
Okay.
Because he's my number 1.
Okay.
So as my favorite top ready prospect, who I think is gonna play the full year with the Jets, you're talking about 30-30. I think at most he would get sent down for like even 15 games. Not even. I just don't see it happening with the lineup they have this year. It's time. He came up in one of his first games, if not his first game, scored. What he can do with the puck, he's really good in those tight situations. He's NHL ready for sure. He's got to get a little faster. That's fine. We just need to help him out in the defense end there a bit. But it's time. We got to let him shine. He destroyed the Moose 2 years ago when he got the ice time, when he got the opportunity. Last year was a little limited. I'm not sure what the story was there with the Moose, but a little limited ice time where he just couldn't get into the game. So I think he's a player that can excel with more ice time. And he's from, obviously, my 2016 draft year was amazing. It's every player from that draft year just seems to be out of the world. The top 10 from there is last year I just basically looked how I picked rope hints for my playoff run is because I just looked at the 2015 draft. I was like, oh, he was pretty high in it. He hasn't got ice time yet. I should see what happens with that. So I think it's just a matter of time before he blows up. You're saying about 30-30. I might have to disagree only because he's my number 1.
Mm-hmm.
He's young. He's 22. Top, puck moving skills. He could definitely coordinate a power play. I think his problem is he goes into forwards positions sometimes where he doesn't know the balance of him just leaving the puck, cycling high to get back to his spot. So if he's playing with experienced players that know how to cover his spot and can play a little defense, I think it'll be fine. But yeah, he just has to work on a little bit of positioning out there when he's cycling, and I think everything else will come. Absolutely. A little more ice time, we'll be good to go.
Go for him. Okay. All right.
Shout out for Sammy this year.
Sammy.
He's my number 1.
He's your number 1 compared to my number 5.
He's my racing horse this year.
All right, so I'm interested to see where number 6 is for me and you here.
Yeah, what
so
do you got for 6?
Number 6, I have Mason Appleton here. I know, 23-year-old. He hasn't hit the 200-pound mark, but that's fine. He's only 6'2". That's okay. But he is a centerman. He does play. I think he would too, for sure. Yeah, why not? I mean, especially with the off season. I was gonna say, right? Like, what do you think he's been up to? He clearly, obviously tossed a few back for sure. And then, his stats are pretty. I liked his stats with the Moose: 40 games, 15 goals, 17 assists. So that's pretty good.
As a first pass mentality, 15 goals is pretty good. Having 17 assists, being a
first pass.
Right. So it means when he's shooting, he's scoring. So his shooting percentage, I haven't looked into it, but I can imagine it being pretty hype.
And when you say first pass, the more and more we talk about this player, and the more and more I get closer to the game of hockey and getting more about it. People talk about, players need to be the first pass type of guy if they really want to be on a roster. So, I think that's very important. And when you talk about that, that's something that I obviously didn't notice. So
it's a good team player, especially when you got snipers like Liney and you're trying to crack the lineup. You got Perot that, they're good at shooting, not necessarily everything else. If you can work the puck around, you can pass them the puck and start feeding goals that way. Teamwork goes up, coach likes you, players like you, you'll fit right in. I think that's why he's excelled at any team he's played with, is he knows his role. Once maybe we give him some more chances, he might get some more confidence going and start shooting the puck too, because I think he has a really good shot. He just doesn't use it as often. He's a really good passer for sure.
No, he really is. I really liked his game last year. It was nice seeing him at the morning skates there for the few times that I did when he was playing for the Jets last season. So
yeah,
I mean, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, like just the vision, I guess. Like if you look at players, like all the players that want to, pass first mentality, like Backstrom, all these players, they can snipe, but like what they bring to the table, it's more fun for them to make that amazing pass and all those plays than to shoot. So that first pass mentality comes to like what they enjoy out of the game. I know I pass way too much now, but I enjoy it. Right?
Yes.
There's nothing better than sniping it, but when you're going down, it's like almost the coaches would disagree. They want the first shot in that 45-degree angle rebound, but sometimes in the back of your head, just playing with the boys,
get a few guys involved there. Yes, I have a tendency of celebrating only when I get an assist, not when I score. Yes.
I haven't seen you score yet.
All right, you'll see there one day. Okay, all right, okay, got me there. Yeah.
So for this year, I have him Appleton definitely fourth line to start the year, but I think he can work his way up to the third line this year. I think that's his ceiling for the year. So I have him as my number 3 on the list.
Number 3, okay.
On mine, just because I have him on starting the fourth line and going up to the third line this year. He played 36 games last year, didn't get a whole lot of ice time, but had some production for that. So I think we got a little more to see out of some apples there.
Out of apples, yes. Hopefully, it can produce a little bit more. Yeah. So jumping straight to my number 7.
All right. Let's take a little break here. We're gonna be right back for segment 3. Cheers there. Welcome back, segment 3, Jets Fantasy Fuel. We're gonna take off with the last 3 picks here. Keither, who'd you have for 7?
Michael Spacek. Actually, I went with Michael Spacek as my 7th pick. He's from Czech Republic. I'm sorry, there. 22 years old, 5'11", 187. Spent last season playing with the Manitoba Moose, 74 games. So he was obviously a consistent player there who they really wanted to see develop, and they gave him the ice time that he needed, getting 10 goals, 31 assists for 41 points. Stayed out of the penalty box as well, did not go over the 50-minute mark, only getting 32. So I think that shows that, he's not willing to pick up penalties and be one of those types of pest players who's always going to consistently be in the box. He's going to be on the ice because that's where things happen, and he's able to create. I mean, it's showing 74 games here. I mean, that's solid. That's very consistent.
Yeah, I 2015 draftee. I have much respect for that, but he did not make my top 10 list this year. I guess my question for you is, I just didn't see when the time frame would be when he would be in the Jets lineup. Do you have a time frame for him being in the lineup in a potential position he might?
I think we might see him maybe once or twice this year. It may not be until next season. Under 10 games. Yeah, under 10 games. I think.
Just to get a look.
Get a look, exactly. See what his development for the 74 games did for him, and see what it did for his confidence, and as well, Paul Maurice did say that he sees these guys come in, and then one day they walk by his office and they're little kids and they're these boys, and then the time goes by and wow, these are men coming in now. So I think they're going to give him the test maybe quite a few times, but no, under 10 games for sure. That's why I have him there so late at number 7.
Yeah, it's a good drafter, good potential for sure. But I did a skip Suey on that for sure. Who's your 8er?
Number 8, Marcel Como's last pick there, Vilhenola at 18 years old. The 18-year-old defenseman, left-handed as well. Another product from Finland. Quite small, 5'10", 176. We did talk about, he's being a tiny dude, he's a little bit a ways from the 200-pound mark, and that might take some time to develop. That's why I have him there a little bit so late. Yeah, he spent some time with his club overseas, Luko Roma, playing 34 games, 2 goals and 12 assists. And that club actually made the playoffs too. So even though he didn't have the NHL playoff experience, clearly, playing in the playoffs in whatever league that you're in, things intensify, things get a little bit more serious, guys start playing a little bit more of a physical game, and the game starts to get a little bit more precise, and there's no room for error. So for the fact that he has 7 games under his belt, he got 4 points in those 7 games, 3 assists, 1 goal. He's clearly involved and not shying away from the challenges of playing playoff hockey, and I hope that translates over here. I can't stress enough, you were talking about, getting the players over here, getting them into the North American system and the living conditions and the environment and this and that. Even if we see him in Jacksonville, that's fine.
Yeah.
As long as he's there. So I have him at my number 8. What about you, Blair? Where did you have him?
Exactly 8 there. I think that's the only pick we've agreed on for numbers. Really good player. I think his highest upside would be his IQ.
Okay.
He can get out of those small spaces. He's really good at moving the puck, making smart plays. I think that's something you can't train a hockey player. So it'll be a matter of time before he's top. I would say top 3 defense in the NHL projected. I see maybe not this year, but I'd say for the next season, he might get to the 10-game mark. If he was a little bigger, we can maybe do a little more with that. But I have him for 10 games next year, and playing with the Moose and just absolutely destroying that. His IQ. I think he went a little later, 24th overall.
Yeah, he did.
This draft year, just
no 20th, I think it was.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. 20th. Anyways, just to, there was people they could have picked before him, but I think with his numbers, it's a little deceiving. His numbers weren't the best there. I don't think people were watching his numbers as much, and maybe that flew past a few scouts. I think the scouts that were actually out there, like ours, who are clearly in Finland, got some hookups there, saw what he has for his IQ, and it's huge, and that's something you can't train a player. So I think this draft year, like, we're talking basically defense. Like, we're defense heavy. Like, our defense future is looking pretty promising, and he's just another piece in it where it's pretty promising. He's a nice player to watch. So a little smaller than what the Jets go for, but you gotta have some puck moving defense like that. So maybe kind of like an Enstrom, but way younger and way better.
Way better. I know. It was sad to see him go. The guy worked really hard. You talk about defense, and we did talk about this in the last show, that's an important thing right now, and I can't stress enough. It's defense that's going to win them a championship. As cliche as it sounds, I did see this in a sports movie, Love and Basketball. The basketball coach said, offense sells the tickets, defense wins the championships, and you're starting to see that more so. And
what would you rather have? Really, like, I couldn't imagine, like, just last year watching some of these teams. It's just so hard to watch. Like New York Islanders, the boringest team to watch there. Just shut everything down, go ahead by a goal, and just dump and chase it. Like, I hate watching that part of hockey, so I'm glad that we have some talented players here where we find a balance of, good defense too, but let them fly. They got
let them go, let them skate. Let things see see what can happen, see what they can do in a game situation.
Nashville's the boringest team. Like, there's a few. Boston used to be like. There's a few teams out that just shut it down, and maybe more so the coaching, but I don't really like watching teams like that. So I'm glad we're taking more of a talent kind of route there.
Niner. I went with defenseman Luke Green. He's got a right-handed shot, so I know that the trend broke there a little bit. That you were talking about the balance, so I know that's just something that sticks out to me. From Bedford, Nova Scotia, pretty young as well. I have him a little bit low, obviously, clearly a lot lower than the faith level I have in David Gustafsson. He spent some time in the AHL with 11 games, only getting 3 points, but nonetheless, that's okay. If he's on the ice for whatever games that he can get, that's fine. He was a number 79 pick, round 3 in 2016, 6'1", 190 pounds. So he's got good size to him. And, like you said, draft and develop. Like, Luke Green is probably going to get bigger, stronger, faster, and better. So I give him some time to develop down there. Personally, I don't see him even being called up at all this year. I just don't. I just think the competition's a little bit too high. I think that with who they already have, it'll be a little bit difficult.
And it's hard to. He came off a few injuries too. Hurt his shoulder. He had a few concussions there. He had a really good, career before that in the Quebec League. He had 108 points in 121 games. He's a promising player. He looked really good in this development camp. He was a player that just kept producing and showing and coming up. And I think he just wanted to show everyone what he could do. And I think in a full year with the Moose, he's highly expected to be even seeing some ice time this year, up to 10 games, depending on who's going to step up or not. But it's hard when you have Sheeling up there too, like just a more consistent player. But I think Luke Green's ceiling is a little higher. It's just staying healthy for this year will be huge for him. So if he stays healthy, we might see him for 10 games, and he's going to have a huge year for the Moose. So I have him at number 10 on mine. He did make my list because I'm a big Green fan for sure.
Definitely.
Big player, and
yeah, I had him at number 9, so not much of a fluctuation there. And in for the last pick, I went with Dylan Sandberg at my number 10. I really liked his stats that he put up in college with Minnesota, with the University of Minnesota Duluth.
Yeah,
39 games. Yeah, he's a beast, man. Yeah, I really like what he was showing, what he was doing in college. And I think that's what they liked in Tucker Pullman. I watched a lot of Tucker Pullman's highlights in college, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy just dominated the college game. Like, he was smart, his
You
IQ.
want to stay away from his side.
Yes, clearly, you do not want to be anywhere near him. So if he can, it clearly shows that he's not afraid to step up into that type of role with the University of Minnesota Duluth there. And he's 6'4", 215. He was a second round pick at number 43, so that's pretty early in the sense of the second round.
He plays like he's 6'5" though. Like his hits, there's people that are 6'3", 6'4", whatever. They're 215. It's like whatever. But I don't know if he has big bones or something. But he absolutely crushes people when he hits someone. You can hear it. Everyone feels it. It's just you stay away from his side of the ice. He's usually the shutdown kind of D, but he can move the puck too. I think you have him at 10 there. I have him at 4.
Whoa, okay, there's a big difference. Yeah.
He's like a Hanola, but a little more ready just because the size, the physicality, and the trust that he has on the defense end. If you look at our lineup this year, yeah, we got, if Niku, a few players come in, we don't really have a stay-at-home defense other than Bolio. Morrissey, Bufflin are up there. So I think Sandberg, why I have him at 4, is because this upcoming season, I think he's more relevant to what we need in the defense end. And to trust him back there, I think the coaches trust him. His ceiling is super high. I don't see him make many mistakes out there. It's pretty faulty proof because he does play a safe game, and that does win over the coaches' trust. And you see it time and time again where we have these prospects come up, and our coaches don't give them the ice time because they make one kind of whatever play, and they're like, okay, that's it. That's 8 minutes from your 10 minutes.
10 minutes right there. Yes.
Yeah. So like it's a lot of pressure. So if he's not making many mistakes out there, he's crushing people. He's playing good, making smart decisions. Like I think it's a matter of time before he locks up a third defensive pairing role this year. Very possible, depending on who fights it out. We're talking about Pullman, Niku. It's gonna be a dogfight for that third line pairing, but very high potential for Sandberg to be in the mix. I think, anyways, this year. Where do you have him? I guess for if you were to predict when he's gonna make his show debut, probably at least next year. You got to be at least.
Yeah, not this year at all. No, I have him at number 10. No, he's got to develop a little bit more.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even be surprised if he made a few mistakes in the A that they might send him down to Jacksonville, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, you just got to look at the ice time too.
Yeah.
If he's not getting the ice time he needs to develop with the Moose, yeah, send him down. Give him some ice time with the Jacksonville, and maybe halfway through the season pull him up once he's got his confidence in his legs going for sure. You're right about maybe not a full-time spot, but I had him for at least 10 games this year. I'd like to see him out there a little bit.
I would like to see him out there too. 10 games, like I'd be surprised if even if he gets like 1 or 2. I'd be very surprised if he gets called up. So I think it's another player that he's on the radar. He's drafted, and now it's just time to develop him, and they might keep him in the A, hopefully. But no, I have faith in him, and I hope that.
I'm just reaching, man.
His
development camp, everything about him. I've just really liked what I've seen so far. He's everything I would want in a player, and I hope the coaches feel the same way.
No kidding.
But thanks for listening to our top 10 there. Jets Fantasy Field taking off. Cheers.
All right, Keith McKnight. Good night.